And we're back. Part 2. Uh, so yeah, Charlotte's having a tough time. I think also when they have this confrontational fight going on amongst them three, and I think it happened a lot throughout the series. I think it just were it's magnified now, especially since one character who played maybe the comedic relief with her cunning puns isn't there, so now it's just their personalities that we're dissecting, and for the most part they've always projected their own worries onto the other person. So even though Miranda is in this affair, if you can say affair, Charlotte's thinking about what she's going through with her own child and having to better understand and coincide with her daughter as she's still going through the emotions of what it means to be gender fluid. And because Miranda is now attracted to someone like that, then Charlotte is met up with that, and perhaps even speaking out of fear of what could be the future for her own child. So, and that happens often. But again, because we don't have the interjection of somebody being funny and throwing in a pun and saying something naughty like Samantha would have, that's all we have here. But for the most part, I don't know why people are also kind of so much on the fence on it, because again, it's like, I feel like, again, perhaps these personalities clicked when they were young, and now that they're of a certain age, they just are coming off as like old cranky, crotchety old ladies or something. Also, before they even got into this fight, the reason why they were talking about the fair or fantasies is because Carrie was coming from a consultation, which again she was helping Anthony kind of go through the motions. He's going through his now quickie divorce from Stanford, and feels that perhaps he's not cutting it like he used to. Again, New York City for the most part, yeah, sad to say, but it is a very vanity driven city, so he didn't want to feel like an old bagel. And if you know what that reference is, again, he has a bagel shop or a bread and bagel shop, and a lot of his clientele are men, and especially young men, and that's why he has also his delivery boys look very they're all out there. So we get a little bit of eye candy, which we can appreciate. But Anthony's starting to feel a little on the old side, so he opts for a little refresher. He wants a nice pick-me-up, and so he makes a consultation with a plastic surgeon, and it just so happens to be, drum roll, Jonathan Groff, who plays Dr. Paul David. Again, if you're familiar with Jonathan Groff, he's known. He's done Broadway. He's a Broadway baby. Spring Awakening. He was on Hamilton, and he was in what was to be considered the LGBTQ community's Sex in the City, which was Looking. And if you have not seen Looking on Hbomax, please see it. There's 2 seasons, but I think honestly there was so much potential. And there's a movie. I think they could have gone on for a couple of more seasons, but you know, that's the luck of the draw. But I fell in love with Jonathan, and Jonathan was the equivalent of Carrie on that show. So to see Carrie me new Carrie, that was just honestly the cherry on the pie. I love Jonathan, and I can also review The Matrix Resurrections because he's in that, and he did a phenomenal job. I love Jonathan. I think he has such range that far exceeds what we have seen of him on TV, but honestly I think he embodies every role. I'm such a fan of Mindhunter, that's on Netflix. I know I'm gushing about Jonathan, but I love him. I really, really love him, and I love his work. So, but I just thought that was a very kind of like meta because he got the comparisons when he was on the show looking. He was the Carrie of that show. So to see Carrie, carry me, Carrie. And, you know, he wasn't rude. He, you know, he was playing what he was sent there to do, to, you know, be honest. And again, I don't know necessarily also know if they pull back Carrie's hair, and maybe it's also a personal choice just to show that this is how women age and that there's nothing wrong with that. I know a lot of people are like, they're making her look so old and whatever, but again, I'm not saying she's a spring chicken. She's 55, but that doesn't mean that that also equates to 80. But maybe she's proud. She's proud of how her face has aged, and why should people ridicule her for that? That's what I think people need to really kind of sit and think before they start just, you know, throwing shade and negativity out there when they do their reviews. And I've seen and heard a number of them, trust me. Some people don't even show their face, so you know who you are. But for the most part, so he did offer a lot in terms of she needed a refresh and that she could have opted for this and that and a pullback and whatever. Obviously, she doesn't go through with it, I don't think. And Charlotte's not opposed to it, because I think she's kind of been in the rodeo of whatever Botox and fillers mean to her. And so, and I think she had a little bit of it. I know I said the very first episode that they weren't, but she was a little on the, you know, fish lip kind of thing. And then people, you noticed it, and she felt offended. I mean, again, we're nobody to be picking these women apart, because again, we fell in love with them for a reason, and they've just grown and matured. So who are we to pick them apart? We don't do this to men. Or male actors, you know, they get all gray, their skin just gets just as loose with the wobblies and everything, and nobody says anything to them. So we end the episode where, and I think also there, a number of people have pointed this out too, that there are a couple of scenes that don't make sense. Carrie in her old apartment, and she just settles. She settles that she's comfortable there. So we also end the episode with her just being fine with where she's at for the time being, and she lets go of that other annoying apartment that had a beep, and she didn't even know where the beep was coming from. She was like, I gotta let this go. But there's a scene prior to that she's in, sitting comfortably in her chair, and she says this isn't healthy, and people were kind of like left like, huh, with a question mark. And people suspect that there could have been scenes with her and Big, played by Chris Noth, and because of the current allegations, that he was kind of snipped from these scenes. Also, big spoiler, if you don't know, there are 10 episodes. This is episode 6, and they're saying by the finale we would have seen something, some inkling of him, or him coming back to her in spirit. And because of the sticky situation that the show finds itself in now, they've decided not to go with that ending. So we'll see how the last episode, which I think it'll air in February. Let me check. Yes, so after Diwali, and I just also wanted to make sure that I stated Carrie went with a skirt infusion, but it was supposed to be a soiree. I said garb, I should have said soiree. But again, just wanted to point out those certain boo-boos. So the following episode is Sex in the Window, Bewitched, Bothered, and Bewildered, No Strings Attached. And the final episode is Seeing the Light, which will air Thursday, February 3rd, 2022. We'll see. Again, I'm on the fence on it. We'll see if it progresses. There was a glimmer of light with this, which I think is so funny, seeing the light as the last episode. But there was a glimmer of light with introducing this particular character. I don't know if we will see Jonathan's character come back, but it was a pleasure for sure. This episode was also directed by Cynthia Nixon. So they're stretching out. Also, they're producing. Well, Sarah on the show is the executive producer, one of the executive producers. And so I feel like they are kind of fulfilling other roles. So we should applaud them for that. Because if anything, we should champion women when they are in these positions. And if they're of a certain age, why not applaud that? Why is it that people also can't remain stagnant and want them to be 20 for the rest of their lives? It just doesn't happen. So relax, people. Anywho, so it was okay. It was okay. You know, is it super great? Can I say yes? I can't wait. I can't say that either. So we'll see though. I'm still keeping a watchful eye on it, and hopefully I'll have a better review with the last few episodes that are left to air. But yeah, I gotta get back with and recap the other shows that I've been meaning to recap. Matrix is definitely one. Gente Fine, On My Block. These are all on Netflix. Matrix is on Hbomax. And of course, yeah, Cobra Kai. I think this is, see, I want to make it known that Cobra Kai has been kicking ass since it premiered, and that this show is now like the one you put on a pedestal, because this is how you reboot it and you do it justice, and you don't really necessarily change it so much. Like, you don't go all the way left in the sense that people just don't even recognize the characters anymore, which that's not what they've done here with And Just Like That. So take notes, people, because they've done an incredible job, and it's an inclusive cast, and the storylines are great, fresh, but still reminiscent of what the Karate Kid was and that legacy, and it doesn't feel forced. So stay tuned for that, because that's coming next. And for that, until next time. Also, I want to make mention I will be changing the background. I just kind of want to, since it's the last week of Christmas, I figured. But this is going to change soon. But anyway, if you like my review and you thought it was helpful, give us a like. Leave us a comment down below in the comment section. If you want to follow me, you can hit the subscription button and the notification button so you can be alerted of my next review. And until next time, y'all. I love the music too, by the way, on Just Like That. I will say that. This is a classic. Those lyrics are beautiful. Todd Rundgren. Hello, it's me, 1972. Cheers, y'all. XO. Nerdy Girl.